Hi, we're going to take a look at using an equalizer to clean up our sound. Now, just before we look at that, I guess people might regard it as a more advanced way. I don't think so. I think it's pretty straightforward. But if you do want a kind of much more simple way of editing your audio, there's now a new audio interface or workspace up here. And you are able to click on your videos, click on dialogue, and there's a little tab over here called Repair. And you can use, usually the reduce noise and reduce rumble are the two that people would use, and you just enable them and slide them. Personally, I don't really like the results that reduce noise gives me. I find it a bit tinny and robotic. But you can give it a go. It's really not that bad. But we're going to use something else. So we're going to use an equalizer to clean up this audio. Now, first thing to do is to add the equalizer. It's an effect. So I'm going to go down here to the effects tab. It's an audio effect, so I'll open up that folder, scroll down, and there's a few different equalizers inside of Premiere. You're welcome to try them out. Graphic equalizer 20 band is pretty good, but we're going to use one called Parametric Equalizer, which is the one I use. I would recommend that. So we're going to drag and drop it on, and then we need to edit that effect. So we are going to go up to the Effect Controls panel. There it is there, we've added it, and what I need to do is hit the Edit button. And that opens up the full graphic interface, which if you've never used an equalizer before can be a little bit intimidating, but don't worry. Once you understand what it's doing, it does make a lot more sense. So just give me a second. I'm going to hit play.
Come out, there's a lot of angry people around.
And I just wanted this blue graph up here, and that's going to really help me explain how this works. So the equalizer is essentially a graph, and there's a vertical axis. Let's start with that. So you get little dots. You can raise and lower volume with this, right? So if I take it below this line all the way down, that's lowered the volume completely or raised it. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward, up and down for volume. What's more important for us and what we're going to be doing is the horizontal axis. And this axis represents pitch, sound pitch. So from the very left-hand side, that's the deepest bass sounds. And on the far right are the highest pitches. And so it's the full range of pitch. Well, it's the full range of pitch that most people can hear. So there are higher pitches, maybe dogs can hear outside here, somewhere like 30, 40, 50,000 hertz. And there's deeper pitches too, but it's the full range that we can hear. Next thing to explain maybe in this is the human voice. Now, your voice doesn't just have one pitch, so it has a range of pitch. And it varies person to person, but the pitch usually starts, the deepest part of your voice, usually about 100 hertz, and it goes to about 10,000 hertz on the average person. Most of it's in the center over here, so right in this middle area, that's usually where most of the person's voice is. Okay. Now, what about cleaning up bad sound? So often the sounds that we want to remove are on the extreme ends of the equalizer. So often we pick up a lot of deep bass sounds. That's probably the most common. Things like air conditioning units and traffic. The other reason we pick up deep bass sounds is not just because a lot of things create that sound, but bass sound travels further, can pass through walls. Often if you hear a car going past, you'll hear deep, kind of just the bass track of the sound of a song, and that is playing and nothing else. Okay, so commonly we've got problems here, and I can see, this is why I wanted to play it, I can see a lot of bass in this area, and probably none of this is her voice. So there's probably a good chance we're going to make this a lot better. Now, the way this equalizer is set up is to work with music. So you get these dots, and they have these very long, gentle, sloping adjustments, which we're not going to use. In fact, I like to just get rid of them. You can unclick them. Each one has a corresponding number at the bottom. I'm going to get rid of all of them. I'm going to switch on two special ones. One of them is HP, or high pass. The way this works, if I move it out a bit, is that it's doing what's called a cut. It's cutting out sound. The other one is the LP, the high pass. So this one gets rid of the high pitches. This one gets rid of the deep bass sounds. Okay. The next thing I want to do is to make it a bit steeper. I prefer working with a steeper cut. And so there's a drop down here, and basically the higher the number, the steeper the cut is. So I'll probably set these both to 48. Okay. Once all that setup is done, we're ready to go. And basically what you would want to do is hit play. And while it's playing, you'll just click and drag, and you'll slowly remove more and more of the bass sound. You will eventually reach a point where you'll hear it starting to affect the person's voice. And it's up to you kind of where to stop, what you think is the best result. Do note that while you're dragging it and moving it around like this, you might hear some weird pops and clicks. That's just seemingly like a bug in Adobe Premiere. But once you finish moving it, you'll have an absolutely clear recording. Okay, let's give this a go. So I'm just going to hit play.
And, there's the whole thing with people not having jobs and, not being able to get jobs. And then, so a lot of the youths are going.
That's much better. So very commonly we end up with it around about here, just over about 200. And any further is probably going to start messing her voice up. If you want to do a before and after, you can enable and disable the effect.
Going to college, and then this year they've decided that they're cutting the EMA. So, they're angry about that as well.
Okay, so you can hear it's made a big difference. I might try. I don't think there's a high-pitched problem in this, but let me just try it.
A lot of things that people are angry about, and it's just all come together, and they've...
I'm not noticing anything. Usually if I don't hear any pitch problems, I'll usually leave it at 10,000 hertz. You do need to kind of be aware that the older you get, you're gonna start losing more and more of these high pitches. So there may be a problem and you just don't hear it. So it's probably just safer to leave it at about 10,000. And what we're cutting out is usually sounds we wouldn't want to ever hear anyway. Okay, so that's done it. I'm finished. With an equalizer, you don't need to hit OK or apply or anything like that. If you're done and you're finished, you can just close it and that's it. Now, what you will find from kind of using equalizers a lot is that if you use it this way, it's always the same setup every single time. So usually what I like to do is when I'm on a new machine, take my equalizer, set it up exactly the way you see it on screen now. So very kind of safe, conservative settings, but it's ready to go. And what I do is I save this as a preset. So what I'll do is close this. Now it's set up. I will right click where it says there, Parametric Equalizer. I'm going to right click there and choose Save Preset. Name the preset. Okay. And let me just get rid of this one. Next time I come along and I want to add an equalizer, instead of going to audio effects, I go to presets. And the ones that you create, the presets you save, and you can do this for any effect, get saved right at the top. So I just drag and drop that on, hit edit, and I'm absolutely ready to go. So yeah, I hope that was useful. Equalizers kind of work the same roughly in all software. So once you start to understand how they work, you can pick most of them up pretty quickly. Anyway, I hope that helps, and keep an eye out for new videos soon. Bye.